Okay, Tuesday, 13th of February 2024. Day recap trade review for the ES and the NQ. Quite a day. Had CPI 8:30 a.m. in the morning. It completely changed a lot of things. And really, whatever was planned was pretty much out the window because of the change it created. But regardless, let's have a look at what I planned for the day first, and then how CPI changed the things, and then how I came up with a new plan and adapted to it. Overall, again, ended up red today. Took only one trade in the ES, 3-point loss. But since I define a winning day or a losing day as did I follow my process, so I lost my focus during the day. I did not end up following my process how I should have. So a bad day according to my process. Really, just a 3-point loss means nothing, but to not follow the process and to lose focus, that means a lot, and something I need to keep on getting better at. Anyway, first the plan. So really the plan, we were slated to open on a small gap down before CPI were hit. So the plan was all levels up top, distributions up top, but CPI came in and it led us to open on a 65-point gap down for the ES. Massive gap down. Gapping down underneath 1, 2, 3, almost 4 days worth of range. So very weak. CPI came in probably hot. I don't know what the numbers were, but probably came in hot, sold off aggressively, and there we were. So plan wise, obviously whatever I had planned initially all went out the window, because even though I expected some volatility, a 65-point gap down was not one of those expectations. But then again, there was all of these distributions. There was some prior anchor points here, so it didn't really, it gapped down quite a bit, which makes things difficult. But then there were some levels of interest to be had based on prior distributions. So the real main area was this balance high and this ledge between the two bigger sort of distributions. So we had this prior 3-day balance from which we broke down and then eventually broke to new all-time highs and tested it out a couple of times. And every time we tested, price just tend to shoot higher from there, and that was the thing. Let's assess around 49.55, this little edge, and then if not, this is really the main region to look for longs. And then there wasn't really any plan to go short other than if we go a gap and go sort of setup, because obviously to go short from any decent level we'll have to travel all the way up, which in the face of a 65-point gap down seems unlikely. Similar for the NQ, all the plan levels pretty much of no use. We open on a gap down of a 280 points, 300-point gap down, again a massive gap down. So, but similar to ES, we entered into an area of prior value where we had price history. So even with the gap down, we could have some levels of interest, and the basic levels of interest was these lows from which we pretty much shoot higher every time we tested them before when we were here around 6th, 7th, 5th of February. There was this little demand zone that formed on this day, which just never let price see underneath it. This was this, and then if this were to fail, this little area, which is basically the ledge for this entire big distribution. Very simple plan. Again, no plans to go short from anywhere up, because for me to go short, the price would have to travel up significantly. Again, unlikely given the current circumstances. So basically, try long if we were to reach down here. Otherwise, gap rules in play and see what we get from them. And then the session opened up. Yes, tried to go a little bit higher, but couldn't really go. And then there's just tons and tons and tons of selling at the open. It gets underneath the opening print, get underneath the overnight low. I couldn't really maintain underneath the overnight low, and that was the first sign of, I don't know how to, maybe strength or like some sort of a counter move that might be brewing in, because in the face of all of this selling and some absorption here at the lows with all of this selling, this one, and to shoot up and not stay under the overnight low. Maybe these were the first signs. NQ had a completely different opening where it really saw no selling whatsoever. It straight up swept the overnight lows, regained the opening print, and kept on holding the opening print for the entirety of the morning session, the entire IB. This is a picture perfect gap fade setup as you may have it. Absolutely no selling. Sweeps the overnight low, reclaims the opening print, and keeps on holding it. And I ended up missing it. I was just watching ES, ES, and ES, and while doing that, I completely missed probably the more clear, the more beautiful, just picture perfect setup that NQ provided so many times, 3 different times, 3 different entries. Obviously, even if I had taken, I would not have taken all of this. This was just an unexpected move where it shot 150 points higher on the face of a 300-point gap down, some massive inventory correction of some sort. But regardless, these were the setups that I had to take. And since I only kept on watching ES, I completely just neglected the NQ and ended up paying for it. So NQ with a beautiful setup in the morning, which I missed. And then there was really not much to do for the entire day on the NQ after that, because I had no anchor points. I did not know where to go short from up top. So even though there were signs there that as this kept pushing up, there's like exhaustive bits of buying. The wicks is just shooting up, and then not that much buying comes after. We start to get some really nice bit of selling coming in. Nice bit of selling coming in. Puts in a lower high. Can't really go any higher, and then it just goes down. Again, these are not my trades, these are just order flow observations, but this NQ just provided one good setup early in the morning. Did not end up taking it. And then for the ES, this happened, and then we shot up, and then we swept the overnight low, came above the opening print, held the opening print, and then ES provided with this beautiful setup that I again ended up missing. Just even though I was watching it entire day, never just missed the setup. To be honest, not exactly sure how or why. That's why I just think I just lost my focus where even though I can see what's happening, I couldn't act on it in a way. There wasn't any hesitation or anything as such that made me not take it. I only really realized that okay, this happened once it had already happened. So this was not my usual mistake where I see a setup and then I hesitate and don't take it. It was something though, even though I was really watching, I somehow just forget that this is a setup, or I lose my focus. And then when it shoots higher, and then okay, then I realize that okay, I missed it. And then this really was a really nice setup because we had all of this selling early in the morning, then we had absorption of the lows, and now we are above all of this sell, most of it, just some left up here. So there are definitely some sellers offside, and this really provides a decent opportunity to go long. Wicks at that point of time is still not that bad. This is 10:55, so Wicks obviously opened up higher. We are above the previous day, 2-3 days worth of highs. Definitely bearish pressure on the market, but then again we are on a 65 point gap down. So all in all, not a bad setup to try this long here, which I did not. And then I ended up trying here, which is okay, but then there was it's really different. The two pullbacks were really different. Where this was just where the first pullback was just mild bit of selling, kind of like very mild bit of selling on the first pullback. Nothing too crazy. We are above all the people that are offside from the morning session. And then really good setup. More people getting offside right here, and then we push right back up. So picture perfect. And then we go to make new highs for the day, for the session. And I lost my focus and I ended up missing it. And then when I realized, I decided to take one here. But obviously things have changed. This pullback is just selling off strongly. It's coming from the top and then it's really sharply selling off as compared to this where this minor selling, and then this where this huge bit of selling. And it's also coming up from up top after absorbing some buyers. So we have buyers offside here, they will liquidate, and then we have sellers coming in from the top. So VIX still at this point of time, even though it's obviously high, it's not that bad given the entire context, with the intraday context within ES where now the buyers are absorbed up top and sellers are coming in and pushing in. Then I take this entry, I take it on the change, which is okay, but since this is not the second change, maybe I should have taken it pretty much at the bottom with that. And then so I take this one, I take a 3-point loss. I do not take the entire thing, which again is a loss. So even though I would have lost another 2 points had I taken the full stop, my process says to take a full stop, and this is why I'm truly not happy with it. Uh, with what I did today. So having a smaller loss means nothing. Not following the process, not following my set of rules means a lot of things. And then after taking this loss, this was the actual setup that I should have taken, and I did not take that. Even though this would have also been a loss, but that would have been a process-based loss, and that was okay. And this is just taking naked setup into consideration without considering how we are coming in or from where we are coming in. So this was the only trade that I took all day, and detailed from the process, did not follow it, and that was that. Ended up paying for it. And then once this pushback was rather strong, and I was looking for a pullback to actually go long again if we can find an entry. But then the sell that came in, it really just kept on pushing, and went under the opening print. And at this point of time, the setup was toast. There was not really anything to look for. And then, even though I realized that while I was in the trade, it's against a lot of selling that brought us here and all the negative delta on DOM. And if we do lose this opening print, maybe we rotate downwards rather strongly, which we actually ended up doing. But I was not a part of it. Again, that's not bad because it's not a part of my system. It's something that I recognize, but since I can't, or at least until I can recognize it on a consistent basis and do this and have repeatability here, I'm not really pissed or anything that I did not take any sort of participation in the short side of things. But I'm not happy that I did not follow my process and participate where I should have participated. And at this point of time, VIX was just on a rocket ship higher. There was no stopping it. If you will see, it, it took out its pretty much last December highs. So within one day, it went from pretty much the lowest low to making new highs considering the past 3-4 months. And that was just absolutely insane. It was also expiration today, so maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it was CPI, don't know what it was, but this was the outcome where it just rocketed higher, and then we just sold off intensely. Very, very, very strong selling on the way down there. It's just non-stop selling, absolutely ruthless. Kept on selling off. And then it came to the initial point of interest, nothing happening there, kept on selling off, nothing to do. And then it did end up coming here, but this was at a point of time, it's the end of the session. It's in an area of interest, but the wicks is really, it's just at the top, it's just so high. There's really no point in trying to fade all of this here. Even though it's in a zone, it's at a junction, between two nice large distributions, prior balance high. So there are things going towards it, but no matter what is going towards it, really it makes no sense with all of this to try and fade it. maybe show this is overextended. At this point of time, it's a 65-point gap down plus another 30 points, so it's almost down 9,500 points from prior day's low. Within the session from high to low, it's 50 points. Maybe there's something to say that, okay, we are really consuming our range today, and maybe it's worth a shot, but on the hard right edge, when you're just selling off, the wicks is just there. To me, it makes no point to try and even try to fade it. And that's what I did. I just sat on my hands. Obviously, this resulted in an unexpected insane squeeze. Even if I were to try this, I would maximum try it until 49.55 or somewhere here. But so maybe somebody bought the dip. But against all this crazy selling, I wasn't going to be the one to fade it. Again, order flow wise, we were completely selling off. There were heaps of negative delta on the way, and then there was obviously good amount of absorption here. So negative delta built into the lows here, which did not get follow through. 1,500, 1,000, 2,400, 2,000. So heaps and heaps of selling here at the lows, which did not get much follow through, and then just squeezed 30 handles. Absolutely stunning. This is the last half an hour, so this is the M period as well. Never really know what happens in there, but did happen from here. Did I participate in it? No. Would I say this was a lack of process for me not participating here? No, because the situation and the context was something else, and that's okay. And for some reason or the other, Wix decided to roll rather sharply, and it squeezed and Wix rolled. But for me to predict to be on the hard right edge here and say that the Wix is going to roll makes no sense. And that's what ended up happening. Took one trade the entire day and ended up losing in it, and that was that. And then missed the good trades and took the one where I had information against it. Here's to learning from my mistakes, to stay more focused, stay more in the present, and to keep beating on my head, to keep follow the process, and I will come out of it where I'll be following my process day in, day out, trade in, trade out. And that is where we will be. Awesome. Thank you.